Hello everyone, this is SWTOR Newbie here, back with another SWTOR Republic video. Today I have for you guys another SWTOR Republic discussion episode. In today's episode, I'm going to be going over the classic operations, how they work, what they are if you weren't here at the start of the game. So I hope you guys enjoy this SWTOR Republic discussion episode. As always, if you guys enjoy these videos, then make sure to leave a like. And if you guys want some nice gaming glasses, then check the link in the description below. No scope gaming glasses, but yeah. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys in the discussion. But yeah, guys, let's just go ahead and get this discussion started. So you may be wondering, what exactly is a classic operation? Now, what a classic operation is, it's the operations in SWTOR Republic that range from in between level 50 and level 55. The new operations that are currently considered, I say, not classic, or the level 60 ops at the time of recording this, which are Temple of Sacrifice, the Ravengers, and then the world boss on Zyos. Now, the classic operations were actually operations that were made at the max level of the game. The level 50 operations were made at the start of the game. The level 55 were made in the middle part, and then obviously level 60 is right now, which is the current end game. So what I think is really cool about the classic operations is mainly because once you hit level 50, you can already start some of the, I guess say, old end game content, but at the same time, you can actually gear up and get prepared for the new in-game content, or actually end-game content, since it really overall helps with the experience, mainly because you get to learn how to deal with operations, since the older operations don't have as many mechanics, but at the same time you also get to learn more about your spec, your class, and etc. So in today's episode, I'm actually going to also go over the weeklies and just explain each operation and how it was unique and different, and how it overall lives up to the new operations. So let's just go ahead and get started right here. So we're going to go ahead and go into our mission tracker right now. So as you can tell right here, we actually just got flagged, so that's a disappointment right there. But as you can tell, let's just go ahead and get over here. And as you can tell, these are all the weeklies for the current operations in the game. These are all of them from level 50 to level 60. I'm not going to be including world bosses like Dreadtooth or the Nightmare Pilgrim in this, but I am including the Zyos one just because. But yeah, I mean, you can see all of them, so let's just go ahead and get started with the early ones. So right here, we do have the Eternity Vault right here. As you can tell, the recommended gear rating is really low, obviously, because it's a level 50 operation. But this was the first operation that was introduced into SWTOR Republic. It was very simple, it wasn't too difficult. There were some mechanics here and there, and then, I mean, honestly, it overall started to shape the game up. Some people were disappointed by it at the beginning due to it being the only operation. But you know what, I could live with that. Then, of course, later down the road, I think, if I remember correctly, a few months later, we did get Karaga's Palace, which was the second operation for the level 50 bracket. Now, level 50 wasn't too bad for this operation. It seemed more or less like it was Eternity Vault, except a tad bit more difficult. More or less the item gear rating and stuff wasn't too much of a difference. So, you know, I could live with that once again. Then, of course, at the end of level 50 days, we had Explosive Conflict. Now, you might be wondering, what is so different about this one? Well, it seems like at the end of the level 50 days, more or less, we got some content that was very difficult. Now, I mean, BioWare decided to take a different approach on the operations. Now, what I mean by that is that we got to see how BioWare would deal with new mechanics. Now, what I mean is Explosive Conflict is, I would say, 2 times as difficult than Eternity Vault and Karaga's Palace, and it introduced mechanics into boss fights in every single boss fight and stuff, like the last one, more or less, for Karaga's Palace in Eternity Vault. So we got to learn more or less about mechanics, how difficult BioWare could honestly get via Nightmare mode of this, hard mode, and story mode in level 50 days. Then, of course, we do have Terror from Beyond, which was the setup for level 55. But before this was level 55, it was actually level 50 for just a few months. Then, obviously, it went right up to level 55 when the new content was released. But overall, Terror from Beyond was a new approach of, like I said, mechanics. It taught us more about how BioWare was changing mechanics in the game, and how overall it felt nice. It was nice to actually learn how BioWare was dealing with the mechanics. It showed that they really started to care more about the PvE endgame content, how they wanted to deal with it, and how they knew that players were actually really wanting to play it, since at the start, some players were more or less kind of bored. They didn't want to do too much operations. They were dealing with the leveling, and then BioWare obviously learned that they needed to step up their game with endgame content, and then they released this. So after Terror from Beyond, then came the amazing Scum Villainy operation. Now this operation was later released not too long after Terror from Beyond, or more or less after Rise of the Hutt Cartel. It came out directly with Rise of the Hutt Cartel, but it did take a while for players to get to level 55 and do this. So obviously, as you can tell, that was a really good operation. It actually was very long, and that's what some people did complain about. But at the same time, I was generally surprised, just because we got to see a bunch of content in just one operation. Now that may be bad in some parts, mainly because, I mean, too much of content can be way too, I guess, ridiculous. I mean, it can become insane, but at the same time, having a bunch of content can also help players in the long run, because we get to see more of the story, and we get to do more ops bosses, and overall helps with the experience. So yeah, obviously there was Scum and Villainy. Then of course we do have the optional world boss right here in level 55, Taboro's Courtyard. Now I mean, that wasn't too bad. I mean, that was a pretty simple operation boss. You just killed it real quickly. It had some nice mechanics, and it was a unique approach to the operation / PvE schemes of the game. So yeah, I'm not going to really go into detail of that, because that's pretty simplistic and whatnot. But yeah, next we do have the next operations, which I call the Dread patch, more or less, because we did get a new planet, and then we got the operation called the Dread Fortress and the Dread Palace. Now, what these operations consist of was the endgame content at level 55. They were very difficult on Nightmare Mode and Hard Mode. It seemed that BioWare really wanted to show that you can really put up a bunch of seriously difficult endgame content that can overall help the unique aspect of the game. Some of the players get to learn how difficult the games can be, and also some people can learn how to, start their missions in story mode. So it does help overall. I really liked Dread Fortress and Dread Palace. They were a unique approach, and overall was really fun. So then after that, we of course do have the new operations, which are Temple of Sacrifice, the Ravengers, and etc. So as you can tell, the classic operations weren't too bad. There was a bunch of them, but as you can tell, when you were looking at the classic operations as a whole, you could tell that BioWare was trying to slowly and steadily increase how they wanted mechanics in the game. Now, I'm not saying that BioWare did the best at releasing them. Obviously, some people do have complaints with that. I don't have too much of a big deal with it. But obviously, there were some complaints about that. But you can tell that slowly and steadily, BioWare has just been increasing the difficulty a bunch. And it's been overall changing the whole entire atmosphere of the game itself. Now, with the new operations in hard mode, they obviously are seriously difficult. Which, as you can tell, like I said, once you start getting the hang of the mechanics, they overall aren't too bad. Like I said, I myself have actually done it all the way to the Commanders on Temple of Sacrifice hard mode. Haven't managed to down that yet, and I also haven't managed to go against Ravengers due to the Torque Fire bug that's recently been going on. So I've only gone to do the first two bosses in hard mode before that patch actually came out. That changed the whole entire AoE scheme of things, but like I said, that's a topic for a different video, so let's not go into that. But as you can tell, it clearly changed the game itself, and I think that was good that BioWare got to learn more or less how the players were reacting with the operations and how they could overall improve. Because if you just go ahead and just say, do an Eternity Vault run, like right now, any other time in the game, and then just go ahead, run Temple of Sacrifice through, or Scum and Villainy, for example, just do Eternity Vault first, then go into one of those operations, and you can clearly tell that BioWare completely changed how they wanted operations. You can tell that they wanted to overall help with the other players with the story mode, hard mode, and nightmare mode. They evened them out, because overall with the level 50 operations, people also complained that nightmare mode was way too easy, that you shouldn't even bother calling in a nightmare mode. And then also, obviously, they took that in consideration with the actually explosive conflict in nightmare mode. And at level 50, that was extremely difficult as well. So I'd say some people thought they went a little too far with that, but honestly saw no big deal with it. It was really cool how they overall increased the difficulty and made it really hard, and just overall helped the players themselves. So as you can tell, that was just the basic idea of the classic operations. Overall, this discussion was just to go over all of them if you didn't know about them. It also was a video just to go over how they've improved, how Bioware has helped the game overall. Now, like I said, this is just a little disclaimer before I end off this video, is that I'm not saying my honest opinions or views about the content releases and patches that Bioware does do in Star Wars: The Old Republic, because, like I said, I honestly don't have too much, I don't have a big deal about that, but at the same time, like I said, I am not a PvEer that just plays all the time, completes the content as fast as I can. I more or less kind of ease into it. I get the best gear, then I level an alt and do that again. But after a while, I think that will get very boring. I think some players have gotten to that point where, you know, they're just fed up with it and they are honestly done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this Star Wars: The Old Republic discussion episode. As always, if you guys enjoy these videos, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.